There are conversations where you want to sound warm and cheerful and friendly.
Anyway, I hope you're having a great day.
Well, I definitely am now. Thank you so much.
And there are also conversations where you want to sound authoritative and firm.
This is ridiculous. You're a piece of garbage. You have no sense of understanding. Tabitha, I understand that you may be frustrated, but personal attacks are not necessary. I was and am still willing to help.
And there are times when you want to sound a little bit of both. That's why in today's video, I'm going to talk about the 3 commonly used tones of voice in customer service, why you need to be aware of them, and when to use each of them. And the first tone of voice is warm and enthusiastic. A warm and enthusiastic tone of voice is characterized by a high-pitched voice.
Let me just say that you have a very angelic voice.
Oh, thank you. I've never heard of anyone describing my voice as angelic before, but thank you. You're so kind.
Sentences that end with an uptone, sort of like asking a question, even if you're not asking a question. Hi, thank you for calling ABC Company. That is a declarative sentence, but it ends with an uptone.
Thank you for calling Blooms and Petals. This is Ella.
Because at the very start of your conversation, you will really want to sound open to your customer. So it would be weird to say, hi, thank you for calling ABC Company. This is Candace. It sounds too uptight, It creates a sense that the speaker is smiling, so there's less emphasis on authority and more on just generally having a good time.
I hope you're having a great day.
Well, I definitely am now. Thank you so much. So how can I make your day even better?
It's a good default for brands where you want to exude cheerfulness and you want to sound upbeat. People seem to think that this is how CSRs are supposed to sound every single time, no matter the conversation, no matter the customer. And that is not true. There are times when it is imperative that you sound firm and authoritative. And that is when you use the second tone of voice, which is cold and authoritative. So a cold and authoritative tone of voice is characterized by a deep and low-pitched voice.
Tabitha, I understand that you may be frustrated, but personal attacks are not necessary.
It mostly consists of sentences that end with a down tone.
I've already explained. We have no problem doing that for items under $100. Your item is $500. It is beyond our means to be able to offer you a 90% discount.
A sense that the speaker is serious.
As mentioned previously, we're providing you with 2 options, a 50% refund or a return for a full refund.
And the words are still polite, but there is a firmness to the tone of voice. It's almost devoid of any high pitch to indicate the gravity of the message. This is the perfect tone of voice to use when you're reiterating a point for the nth time to an abusive customer who's cursing and is just wrongfully opposing you. Here's an example.
This is ridiculous. You're a piece of garbage. I highly doubt you can do anything other than harp about your policy. You have no sense of understanding. You and your company deserve each other, Tabitha, I understand that you may be frustrated, but personal attacks are not necessary. I was and am still willing to help. As mentioned previously, we're providing you with 2 options, a 50% refund or a return for a full refund. We cannot grant a 90% discount. But you sent me the wrong item. Least you could do is give it to me for free. What benefit do I have by returning it to you? I don't want to go to the post office. I mean, last time you sent me a wrong item, the rep told me to keep it. What changed? I've already explained. We have no problem doing that for items under $100. Your item is $500. It is beyond our means to be able to offer you a 90% discount. I've communicated your request to the supplier, and they confirmed that the highest discount they could offer is 50%. Now, it is your decision to make. Fine, 50%. 50% because I don't want to go to the post office. Just give me that refund. Okay, I will process the request for you now.
So as you heard, when a customer gets unreasonable beyond belief, this is the perfect tone of voice to use. You are still polite, but you're indicating to the customer that you've run out of patience. This is a tone of voice for special customers. And the third tone of voice is the warm and professional. So this is a type of voice that you're going to be using most of the time because it strikes the balance between friendly and professional. This is also a great voice to use when you're starting a conversation and you have very little information about the customer's mood and situation. You want to sound helpful, but at the same time professional. For example, listen to this conversation.
I'm just curious. How exactly does your site security work? If I save my card info on your site, what stops an employee from stealing it? And not that I'm accusing you specifically, no offense, but theft does happen everywhere.
Of course, of course. No offense taken, and I'd be happy to explain. So, when you store your card information on our site, we don't really have access to it, and that's because of a third party called payment gateways. And all sites that process card payments are required by law to use payment gateways, and we definitely have one.
So here, notice that in the first two sentences of the agent's response, she talked about how she'd be happy to explain, and you can hear it from her voice.
Of course, of course. No offense taken, and I'd be happy to explain.
But came the third sentence, and she started shifting to a more serious tone because the topic has changed. It explains how secure the company's payment system is.
So, when you store your card information on our site, we don't really have access to it, and that's because of a third party called payment gateways.
In this case, she has to slowly abandon the super friendly voice, the high pitch, for a more serious tone, deeper voice, and lower pitch. And now let's listen to the rest of the conversation. And what I want you to do is to notice the shift from downtone to uptone, from uptone to downtone. And this is basically 50% friendly and cheerful tone and 50% professional tone. And that is because the customer isn't really that particularly formal, but also not that casual. So he's also just in the middle. And remember, in customer service, you want to match the customer's mood, the customer's pace and emotions.
Okay.
What a payment gateway does is, as soon as you save your card information on our site, it automatically masks your card information, preventing anyone, including merchants and employees, from seeing the real value of your credit card information, meaning your actual card info is saved, but in the payment gateway system, not ours.
Okay, but how will your site be able to save information for my next purchase if your site cannot access it? Because you said that the payment gateway, not your site, has my actual card info.
Good question. Now, when you make a future purchase and you want to use the card you previously saved, the payment gateway will again have to provide your card info to our system, but again, in its mask form. So our system knows it's there, but it cannot see what it is. It's sort of like receiving a wrapped gift, you know. You know there's something inside, but you cannot see what it is because it's wrapped and locked in the case of payment gateways. They call this process tokenization.
Oh, okay. So let me just get this straight. So every time your website needs my card information, it first needs to go through the payment gateway to access that info.
Right.
But although the website can use it, it cannot see it except me and the payment gateway, correct?
That's absolutely correct.
And last question, how secure is this payment gateway exactly?
I would say very. And that's because payment gateways are subject to financial regulations. So, here in the US, for example, it's quite strict, as well as in Europe. But wherever you are in the world, there are laws regulating these gateways, and there's a set of standards they must follow to maintain privacy and security to continue operating as a business. Because after all, they're built specifically to guard sensitive data.
That does make sense.
And if, in the remote chance that our website is compromised, your card information is still safe and separate.
I see. Well, I feel better now for sure. I've always thought that it's just you guys doing whatever you please with my information. Thank you so much for answering all of my questions.
Oh, believe it or not, I do love tech. So I love explaining these things. So, would you like to do the checkout now, or do you want to do it later?
Well, I think I am ready to check out.
Perfect. So, would there be anything else that you want me to clarify or you need additional assistance with?
If the agent only used an enthusiastic tone of voice with lots of high pitch, there is a risk that the customer would not take her seriously because this is a topic where she's supposed to demonstrate her expertise and knowledge. So a good mix between friendly and professional is the best tone of voice to use. Just as topics and mood in the conversation could shift in one call, it means it's also possible to use only one or two or all of these tones of voice in one call. For example, a customer calls in very upset. She's being unreasonable and she's cursing. So you have to use the firm tone of voice to stop her from cursing and to have a reasonable conversation. And then in the middle of the call, she calms down and she listens to you. So you use the warm and professional tone of voice. And at the end of the call, she apologizes for her behavior and she gets friendly and wishes that you have a great day. This type of conversation would require you to use all three tones of voice throughout the call. The main point is you have to mirror the customer's mood and behavior. So I would say that 80% of the time you're going to be using the warm and professional tone of voice. It's just the safest because you have the best of both. But there are also times when you just want to sound particularly firm and authoritative to be taken seriously and friendly and upbeat because your customer is joking and laughing with you, and it's just too uptight for you to just use the warm and professional tone when he's just like laughing and joking. So you just really need to gauge the customer's mood and the topic of your conversation, and eventually you'll know how to convey your words in a way that would fit the conversation. I guess the message that you could take from this is learn how to match your customer's energy. Yeah, your customer's tone of voice. And of course, there are other tones of voice, but these are mainly the foundation, the basics when talking to a customer over the phone. All right, so I think that's all for today. In my next video, I'm going to talk about how to feel your customer's emotions based on their nonverbals. So my plan would be to make you listen to recordings, and I want you to gauge the customer's mood from those statements. So they're not going to say, I'm upset, I'm angry, but you're going to hear it from their voice. I think it's just going to be a good training material to help you learn how to read your customer non-verbally. And once it's ready, I'm going to link it up here or in the description. So thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.